watching on video, if you're playing staff development bingo, this is a good time to mark your free space. Thank you. This is our math initiative presentation for the English department. What we did in the English department is we read a bunch of stuff, and we tried to find stuff in the nonfiction or fiction that had something to do with statistics and math, so we could work with percentages. Betty worked on something. I remember the story you used. I'm going to show you two things that I did, and then I'm going to show you where you can find all the stuff that we did. The first thing I did was with a story out of the book The Deportees by Roddy Doyle. It was a story called Black Hoodie. It was about three people, students, I think our students, who do this little experiment. They go to a department store in Ireland, and there is one of them is a black female, the other is a white male with dark goth kind of clothing, and the other is a friend of theirs who they put in a wheelchair. And the guy in the wheelchair does all the shoplifting, while the other two just walk around and attract all the security guards. That's the story. So we talked a lot about shoplifting statistics, and what we found out is that the shoplifters aren't necessarily the people in the goth clothing or the teenagers or that sort of thing. The other one I did was from Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, and that's the one I'm going to show you here. All of this stuff is in the staff shared folder, which is kind of like the staff refrigerator. There's all sorts of stuff there, and nobody really knows where it came from or how it got there. It's still all there. We go on shared staff. Math initiative. So Barbara has a file of stuff, Betty has a file of stuff, I have a file of stuff, and we're going to look at this one worksheet and tell you about one thing that they did. Blink is a story about, or a book about, all sorts of interesting studies that have been done in terms of our perceptions of things. Now this one, what they did in this study is they sent a group of people to different car dealerships, 242 car dealerships in Chicago. And they divided them into 4 groups. They had white women, white men, black women, and black men. And they gave them all the same backstory. They gave them the same information about where they live. They dressed them the same. They all made the same initial offer on the same car. So everything except the gender and race was controlled for as much as you can control for that. In terms of, like I said, they all had a story about how they were MBAs, they obviously had means, they were going to be able to buy this car. So they went in and they found out what price they would get, and they were all quoted different prices on average based on their gender and race. And you can see here that the white men got the best offers. They were offered a price $725 above invoice. White women $935 above invoice. Black women $1,195 above invoice. Black men $1,687 above invoice. Even though they gave the same story at the dealership. So what we did with this exercise is we just talked about, well, what would that mean in terms of the cash price? So I just gave a price of 20 grand, and then they had to calculate, okay, what would that be if it was $725, and they just had to add. And then what we did, just for fun, is we decided, let's see what would happen if we added interest to this. So like a 3.5% loan over 3 years. And then we had to use our formula to calculate that interest. And we figured it out, and then we added it to the total cost of the car, then we divided by 36 monthly payments and that sort of thing. And then we did it for 5 years and figured out what the different payments would be and how that initial discrepancy gets compounded a little bit over the time of the loan. I think it's about $30 a month discrepancy between the monthly payment of the top group and the bottom group. So we did all sorts of stuff like that. And if you want to see other things that we did, you can look at that shared web folder, a bunch of different stuff there. And then, just for fun, I have my suggested readings And these are all legitimate. The first one is about PowerPoint. The second one is The Emperor's New Clothes, which I think we should read every time we do staff development. And then there is a site about Malcolm Gladwell and Blink and Roddy Doyle, who wrote The New 14s. Time.